everyone. We are the last group and we are to talk about tourism. My name is Eliana Fernandez and I'm going to tell you what tourism is. First of all, tourism is a social, cultural, economical, and environmental phenomenon that involves a movement of people from the place of residence to another place for different motivators or purpose to a destination. An important fact is that tourists do activities that cause impact in different scopes. First one, we have the early age, pre-tourism times. In this part, we have a point that I'm going to talk about now. First one, we have the motivators to start traveling. Gathering food, avoiding dangers, and more favorable climate. We have three places where the tourism start and where Egypt, because they privilege people to travel to the monuments for relaxing. The second one is Greece, because people want to travel to Delphi in order to question the oracle. Travel mainly for religious purpose. And the third one is Rome, because mainly military and the elite travel for pleasure. Prostitution and gambling were also motivators. Second one, we have the Middle Age, from 15th to 14th century. First point, religion. The pilgrimages of the Christian era, the monasteries issue, and the charity problem. Second one, Marco Polo travels from Europe to Asia. Third one, James Cook trips. And fourth and last one, educational trips, educational and experimental trips to achieve self-realization. Third one, the Renaissance, from 14th to 17th century. First one, born of desire to broaden one's experience and knowledge. Second one, the Grand Tour, 3-year trip of students of a novel and upper classes as a way of educational and cultural attainment. And last one, just the educated middle class travel. The fourth one, the Industrial Revolution, from 1750 to 1850. First one was the pleasure of travel supplanted education. Second one was the social changes. The society goes from rural to urban. The third one was the leisure time increase due to the expansion of the middle class. The fourth one was the first travel agent, Thomas Cook, first trip in 1841. And last one, steam navigation, Scotland in 1812. And finally, the modern tourism from the 20th century to our days. Well, first one, the revolution of transportation, Model T Ford. In 1923, the first solo flight over the Atlantic, the Jumbo era also, and finally, mass tourism, desire plus mobility plus accessibility plus affordability.
Hello, I am Andrea Conde and I am going to talk about the types and forms of tourism. When we talk about types of tourism, it is according to the movement of people or tourists. To talk about and explain these types of tourism, there are 6 types, and I will take a country as a reference, and in this case will be Venezuela, okay? Well, we begin with inbound tourism, and this type of tourism is the ultimate goal of tourism. Why? Because it involves people of other countries visiting a country and spending their foreign money inside that country. For example, people of United States or Canada other country will visit Venezuela and they will spend their money inside Venezuela. So money that didn't belong to Venezuela, now it belongs. When we talk about outbound tourism, we have two nationals of a country will go to other countries and they will spend their money outside their own country. So they will, um, the money of a country will enter in other country. For example, um, I want to go to Canada, and of course I have to pay for food, for entertainment, for hotels, and so on. So the money of my country now is in Canada. When we talk about domestic tourism, we have two nationals of a country will visit places inside their own country, and they will spend their money in such places. If the money is trapped in if the money of a country is trapped in one place, with this type of tourism, it will flow because the money will be spent in that places in those places, and it will not be in one place. Okay. Internal tourism, and this type of tourism is a combination between inbound and domestic tourism. Why? Because people of other countries visit um, some country and they will travel inside of it. What happened with the money? The money comes, for example, to Venezuela. The money comes and it will flow because the people who is coming will visit many places and they will spend their money in such places. International tourism. When we talk about this type of tourism, we can see that it is very similar to outbound tourism, but it is different because it involves the whole international activity. Why? It involves people, nationals of a country, leaving the country and coming to the country. So we have we have people who arrive to the country, and also we have people who is living, who is departing to other countries. So it is international movement. National tourism. When we talk about national tourism, we have that it is a combination between domestic tourism and outbound tourism. Why? Because it involves nationals, only nationals of a country traveling inside their own country and also to other countries. So the name refers to the people, refers to nationals traveling. Now I am going to talk about the forms of tourism, and it is according to the motivation and the purpose of people for traveling. We have two main big divisions that are business and traveling for leisure. Well, we begin with traveling for business. It involves MICE, which is meetings, incentive, conventions, and exhibitions. This is a form of business travel, and it has to do with all the movement of resources and money which come from the events that are organized and prepared by professionals. It brings a lot of money to a community, and it is not about an individual traveler. And also we have the second division, that is traveling for leisure, and we have that it has to do with all the activities that people do in such places when they travel. And we have also other divisions that are social. I'm going to read it. And social, cultural, familiar, religious, events, natural, medical, education, sports, relaxation, rural and urban tourism, and some alternative forms of tourism. And also we have reasons for traveling, and we have that 53% of people travel for leisure. We have that 27% of people travel for visiting friends, relatives, for health, and for religion. And we have 13% that people travel for business purposes, and the last 6% we have other reasons for traveling.
Hi, I am Elisa Martinez and I am going to talk to you about tourism as a science. But first, we need to know a little bit about tourism in the history. At the beginning, tourism was not considered a science because the repercussions were really small. Touristic activity took place in very specific areas, and it was a really small amount of people who could do tourism. So the repercussions, the benefits were really small for the communities. And experts did not consider tourism something worthy of further investigation. Since World War I, touristic activity started having a boom. In the mid-20s, people started having more leisure time and also more money to spend, which led to people doing more touristic activities. Since it was now a big amount of people who did these activities, the places where people went started having a lot of revenue and benefits from the tourists. This caused that a lot of experts decided to investigate and make analysis on on the factors and the aspects of tourism, so they could forecast and make predictions about the future of tourism. When experts started investigating tourism, they started from the economic point of view, because it was considered that this was the aspect that had the most influence on tourism. But nowadays, they have included the geographical factors, the cultural factors, economic factors, even ecological factors, because now scientists and experts consider tourism to be an interdisciplinary area of study, because it involves many different aspects from many different areas. So at the end, tourism is a mix of all the areas of study and should be studied from all of these points of view. One of the problems tourism has, because it is very complex to analyze from all the different areas, taking into consideration their effects on tourism. Also, tourism has a difficulty as science because there are not clear concepts, there are not clear definitions or universal definitions on which to base this analysis. Nevertheless, many investigators and experts are posting their ideas and posting what they think should be the universal definitions of tourism to get to a unified classification, a unified concept, so the science can advance from that. One of the main problems tourism has also is the fact that it is a descriptive science. I mean, tourism is not only numbers, even though it involves numbers, it's not only numbers. Tourism is also affected by trends, by what is fashionable at the time, what is the trend at the time. So a community may be very visited by tourists at some point, and then suddenly, without any change of factors, it may not be visited anymore. So tourism has to do with all of that, has to study all of these more abstract variables. There are the human beings that do the touristic activities.
Hello everyone, I'm the last in my group to talk about this. My name is Maria Vizcarret and I'm here to teach you a little bit about how tourism is related with poverty alleviation and how tourism is considered nowadays an economic and social phenomenon. As we all have heard, tourism is one of the strongest drivers of world trade and prosperity. However, when we talk about poverty alleviation, we're talking about the greatest global change in the world. We cannot talk about how tourism works with poverty alleviation without mentioning the three special positions of them and how they work together. The first one is the size and growth of the sector. This means that in many countries, tourism acts as an engine for development and creation for direct and indirect employment. This means that tourism contributes with 5% of the world's jobs, which leads that is responsible for the 235 million jobs. The second one is the relative importance of tourism in developing countries. This means that tourism in many developing and least developed countries is the most valuable and sustainable economy development option. This all means that if tourism is managed with a strong focus on poverty alleviation, it can directly benefit a poor groups or a poor sector through employment of local people in tourism enterprises. And the last one, but not least important, is the character of tourism. There are many characteristics of tourism as an activity working with developed countries to get to an agreement with communities. These positive characteristics are: its response to particular assets. This means that tourism has a great value on some common features of developing country, such as a warm climate, rich culture, inspiring landscape, and biodiversity. Another one is its accessibility to the poor. Tourism is a relatively labor-intense sector and is traditionally made up of all the small and micro enterprises. Another one is connectivity. They benefit a wide range of sectors such as agriculture, handicrafts, transports, and other services. The last positive characteristics of this is the linking of consumers to producers. Tourism, unusually, is an activity which brings the consumers to producers. The interactions between tourists and poor communities can provide a number of practical benefits. So, as we know, the connection of these three special positions is the approach that is needed to work with the local level within communities in order to fully understand their needs and at the same time create better opportunities to them. However, in order to completely accomplish poverty alleviation working with tourism, there are 10 principles, which I'm going to tell you right now, the 5 most important. The first one is that all aspects and types of tourism can and should be concerned about poverty alleviation. The second one is that all governments should include poverty alleviation as a key of tourism development. The third one is that the economic success of tourism business and destination is critical to poverty alleviation. The fourth one is that all tourism business should be concerned about the impact of their activity on local communities. And the last one is that tourism destination should be managed with poverty alleviation as a central aim. So now that we know how tourism actually works, what is tourism and their story and their factors and types of tourism and tourism as a science, is it all of this enough to call tourism an economic and social phenomenon? The answer you're looking for is yes. Over decades, tourism has grown, and this has helped tourism to become one of the fastest growing economic sectors in the world. These dynamics have turned tourism into a key driver for social economic progress. Today, the business volume of tourism equals or even surpasses oil exports, food products, or cars. Tourism has become one of the major players in international commerce and represents at the same time one of the main income sources for many developing countries. So now that we know all of this, there is one thing that is for sure, and that is that traveling is one effective way to see the world, experience new culture, and meet new people at the same time. But for many tourists, however, traveling accomplishes many other purposes that don't even have anything to do with the joy of visiting new places. This is why we have been explaining you guys through this whole presentation that there are so different types of tourism that explain what tourists choose a particular destination, and the things that they expect to do then, they are completely different from what we expected to do.
Hi, it's Maria Elisa once again. This time I'm going to talk to you about the relationship of the modern languages career and the touristic activities. Our career relates to tourism in four main ways, in four main aspects that we develop throughout the career. The first is communication skills. For every single touristic activity, it is a necessity. We must have good communication skills so we can really convey the meaning, so we can really develop in any activity that we are doing. Also, the Metropolitan University has the entrepreneurship aspect, which allows us to make projects that not only benefit us financially, but that also can benefit communities, or at the very worst case scenario, not affect them. The third aspect that is very important is culture. We as modern language students are exposed to different cultures, to different points of view in life. So when we get to the touristic activities, we are prepared to deal with all kinds of people. We are very tolerant, and we know how to respect the differences. And the fourth point that relates to our career is the part of business and customer service. When we see business English or other subjects, we are prepared to deal with the customers, to deliver the very best service, and to try to pinpoint what are the needs and how to solve them, how to give the client the best experience they can get.